We kind of left the people hanging the last time when I tried to get through it as quickly as possible, and I managed to blurt out some information in 10 minutes. Hopefully it was somewhat coherent, but now comes part 2. So let's just recap on what we spoke about last time. We said that there were 3 types of macronutrients, things that our body needs in order to be healthy, in order to flourish, and those are, of course, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And I specifically focused in on fats, and actually fat is a misnomer because when we hear the word fats, we immediately think that this is the category of nutrition that makes us obese and gives rise to all of these problems. So a more apt term is lipid, because then what you can do is you can differentiate between fats that are good for you and vital for your health and cognitive function, and fats that are actually very bad for you over the long run can cause problems with cardiovascular ill health, can cause your liver to go into failure from fatty liver disease. And basically the conclusion that I made, and I mentioned lots of different types of fats, but without getting into all of that now, the conclusion was that when fat is combined with sugar, that's really where the problem happens. And when fat is cooked or heated or fried, this is an issue. When we sort of highlighted that it is the saturated fats that can cause the problems, but we also made the distinction that there are some saturated fats like medium chain triglycerides found in coconut oil, like ghee, like grass-fed butter. These are actually saturated fats that are very, very good for you and a very important part of your diet. And of course, most countries recommend that fats make up between 25 to 30%, so 1/3 essentially of your calories on a day-to-day basis. And then I honed into the fats I really wanted the people at home to try to acquire, and the one that I said was numero uno is extra virgin olive oil. And I said that extra virgin olive oil is a type of oil that is extracted purely through mechanical means. There is no chemicals involved. There is no nothing involved that sort of puts something that is not supposed to be there. You really do just squeeze the juice out of the olives. There's no heat treatment, none of that. And what you get is this beautiful golden liquid, which is a monounsaturated fat. And the olive and olive oil has been mentioned in the Bible as well as the Quran as something that has a lot of spiritual significance. And of course, we know in the book of Exodus, Moses is given instructions to prepare the oil of anointment for the tabernacle. And of course, among the ingredients are cinnamon and myrrh and of course, olive oil. And it really is the thing that the Israelite prophets, when they wanted to appoint a successor, they had this tradition of anointing them with olive oil. So
interesting. There has to be a significance to it. I'm so fascinated to actually ask that question of the Rise Rabbi Sadiq. Why olive oil? Why
olive oil? And Rabbi Sadiq also said something very fascinating as well. He said that when Jesus Christ came, he was the one who was not anointed with olive oil.
Right.
He was, of course, baptized with water. And this has, of course, a certain spiritual significance that we will learn in due course, inshallah. This is where questions are important and come up with the best questions to get the best responses. So olive oil is something that has huge spiritual significance. It's mentioned in the Quran, it's mentioned in the Bible, and it is now something that has been extensively studied by medical science. And the research is overwhelming in terms of its health benefits. So what I wanted to take this opportunity to do, and we have about 10 minutes to go, which is good, is to go through the literature, the medical literature that demonstrates that this oil is not only a sanctified holy oil, it is also a very incredibly beneficial oil for health. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is cardiovascular health. And I've made some notes here because I didn't want to miss anything. And I think these 5 things that I'm going to talk about, these 5 health benefits, is going to motivate you to go to your supermarket, local supermarket, and really invest in some good quality extra virgin olive oil. It is certainly an investment worth making, and it's something that is going to have its returns in terms of your health, and you can trust me on that one. So, olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats, and what olive oil does is it increases the ratio of the good fats and decreases the ratio of the bad fats. So the bad fats are what? They're called LDL, low density lipoproteins. These are things that are found in burgers and fries and pizza and fast food, things that are cooked in oil. And too much consumption of these have been associated with cardiovascular diseases such as coronary heart disease as well as strokes. And this is why doctors often put patients on medications, which are one of the most commonly prescribed medications of all, and they're called the statins. And this is something that reduces cholesterol, but also works to reduce the wrong kind of ratios of fats, and it corrects them. And this is the reason they give it, because the Western diet has become really, really too excessive in terms of these bad lipids or bad fats. And cardiovascularly, what olive oil has been proven to do, and there was a study that was actually done, it was called Predimed, and this study basically looked at what they call the Mediterranean diet versus the Western diet. And it's been well established for decades now that people who follow the Mediterranean diet, which is rich in extra virgin olive oil, actually it's one of the cornerstone ingredients of it. This study that was done in Spain showed that they reduced the risk of cardiovascular diseases by 30%. That's huge. 30%. Imagine if instead of prescribing statins and all these other medications that have all these side effects, the doctors gave a prescription for extra virgin olive oil. I think people would run to the stores with this prescription, and they would go to a supermarket rather than a chemist or a pharmacist and get themselves some of this oil and save themselves from all of the side effects and interactions that statins have. But for some reason, it doesn't happen, and it should.
Interesting.
So that's one. Okay, so you want to reduce your risk of having cardiovascular disease by 30%? Switch to a Mediterranean diet. It's very simple. The next thing I wanted to focus on, and I'm going to use some medical jargon here so that if there are some of my colleagues, and I know there are, that some who watch this show, and particularly the medicine of the Mahdis, they will appreciate what I'm saying. And one of the key things that extra virgin olive oil has is an anti-inflammatory effect. Now, anti-inflammatories are something, again, one of the most prescribed medicines, and in fact, you can actually go and buy them over the counter, and ibuprofen and aspirin and naproxen, these are some household names, and these are all anti-inflammatories. And they work by inhibiting or affecting the functions of certain enzymes in the body, such as COX-1 and COX-2 and things of this nature. And olive oil actually contains a chemical that really, really helps to inhibit these inflammatory pathways, and it's called oleocanthal. This ingredient that is found in olive oil actually inhibits the same pathways that a lot of these medicines do, but guess what? It doesn't wear the lining of your stomach thin. It doesn't trigger asthma, as some anti-inflammatory drugs can do. It doesn't have the same side effect profiles. In fact, it only has benefits. You cannot overdose on it. You cannot become addicted to it. And it is something that will give you the same types of advantages if you take it on a regular basis. And this is the key. You have to take a small amount on a daily basis. And the inhibitory effect of these pathways, these inflammatory pathways, is what gives olive oil its anti-inflammatory properties. There's something that doctors know very well. It's called CRP, which is the C-reactive protein, which we take from blood tests of patients to measure the amount of acute inflammation that is happening in their blood. And there's a study that shows that regular consumption of olive oil actually reduces this as well. The next thing, promotion of cognitive function. I mentioned before that olive oil is a lipid, and our brain is full of this thing called myelin, which is essentially an insulation package that comes on the axons of nerve cells. So if you imagine electrical wiring, it has this insulation around it that makes it more efficient. Well, myelin is all made of lipid, and we need to consume the right kinds of lipids or fats that ensure that this myelin is kept intact and flourishes. And the absence of myelin is what actually causes certain neurological diseases that we know of and have been studied very, very much in medical science. So this is something that also is beneficial. It's the polyphenols that are present that prevent this condition called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is what we're living in right now. It is the spiritual equivalent of the physical health issues that we're seeing in the body. Oxidative stress is caused by what? It's caused by tobacco. It's caused by carcinogens. It's caused by chemicals like fluoride and chlorine when we consume them in excess, and it creates DNA damage. Antioxidants are things like polyphenols found in olive oil that sweep up these damaging molecules and prevent the DNA structure from becoming unstable, and this also improves cognitive function. And also, anything that is an antioxidant is by definition also an anti-cancer. And there is a study now that shows that the consumption of olive oil in those people who are taking it on a regular basis have lower incidences of breast and colon cancer, which are two of the most common cancers that afflict mankind. Another benefit, aids in blood sugar control. We know that those people who are having olive oil regularly, their insulin sensitivity improves. It becomes more effective. How? I don't know, but it does.
Wow.
This is something that we're still trying to find out why this happens. And I'm sure there's somebody who knows the mechanism. And if you do, write in and let me know and call us and let's discuss it. I would love to share these thoughts with my colleagues in the medical field especially. Now, what else do we have? We have reducing the risk of cancers, an emollient. Olive oil is one of the best moisturizers that you can consider. It is rich in vitamin E and vitamin K. This is extremely beneficial for the collagen in the skin and the appearance of the skin. Try it for yourself and put it to the test. Don't take my word for it. Apply olive oil to your face every night. And this is something the riser of the family of Muhammad has told me, that olive oil is one of the best things for your skin. Apply it to your skin every night before you sleep. Yes, I know it's not the best smelling, but try it. If you're somebody who suffers from bad skin issues, apply it to your face, go to sleep, and wake up the next night, look at your complexion. If it doesn't happen on the first night, keep doing it, and after a week, you will definitely see results. People will be making remarks, why is your skin glowing? What's going on here? And you can share with them your beauty secrets. Right. Now, we have spoken about this one, weight management. Now, this is where fat is a misnomer. If you take olive oil on a regular basis, which is a fat, which is a lipid, but guess what? This actually makes you lose weight. It suppresses hunger.
Interesting.
There is a study actually in the Lancet, in the Diabetes and Endocrinology Journal, which found that participants who were in the Mediterranean diet, which was dominated by olive oil, they had lower waist circumferences compared to those on the low-fat diet. And of course, we tackled this issue when I said when the low-fat phenomenon hit, metabolic diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity went through the roof because people had misunderstood the purpose of fats in our diet. And now we are saying that actually olive oil is a great tool to have in your cabinet when you are trying to fight the disease of our time, which is, of course, obesity and all the problems that comes with. You know, olive oil increases satiety. If you take olive oil first thing in the morning, if you condition yourself into the habit of taking olive oil first thing in the morning, you will have less hunger, less cravings. Because of the way that fats are broken down, as opposed to carbohydrates, there is a slower energy release process. And actually, it suppresses that urge to eat. So instead of going for that sugary cereal in the morning, turn to olive oil, take a big tablespoon of it, take some vitamin D3, K2 with it if you can, and really, really benefit from the amazing thing that we have on this planet, which is in the olives. It's the Mount of Olives that Jesus Christ spoke from, and of course that also has that spiritual and religious significance. Olive oil, make it a regular staple in your diet. Switch to the Mediterranean diet if you can. Very easy to follow it. There's some excellent recipes available for free online, and I encourage all those people who have a high risk of heart disease in their family to make the switch and to include olive oil as the lipid of choice, as the fat of choice, if they are going to pick one thing.
That is some really good advice for the people who are wondering what they should be doing about the different problems that you just mentioned that can be tackled by olive oil.
Yes. By the way, our producer just saying in my ear, he said, what about avocados? Well, if we have a few minutes, let's talk about avocados. Avocados are great. Avocados are
amazing.
Healthy fats. They are, again, and by the way, also rich in amino acids and those things that make up proteins. They're high in protein as well. Avocados are one of the best vegetables. Again, if you have to choose a couple of super foods to include, avocados are certainly something that I would consider. And why don't you try it? Make an avocado salad, sprinkle it with balsamic vinegar and a couple of tablespoons of olive oil and have a good time.
You have really opened the appetite, Dr. Irfan. Thank you so much for that incredible advice. If you have any more questions for Dr. Irfan regarding the medicine of the Mahdis, you can write in, you can call us. We'd be very happy to interact with you. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's show.